And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, the break is over. The players are ready, and we are preparing for our second match of this team league. Again, I should actually fix this up. For those wondering, now the world is up. The world is up. Serral did just barely take down Cure in a nail-biter of a best-of-5. It went all the way to the ace match, and even in the ace match, it was back and forth, went to the late game, and Serral showed off his late-game prowess. Once he got control of the map, once he got his bases up and running, he just snowballed out of control. And yeah, Serral, he took down Cure 3-2, but now he's up against his nemesis. We have Serral up against the dubbed Serral Slayer. It is Solar. Oh boy. And in most recent series, Solar has been looking dominant over Serral. In the ZvZ matchup, he took him down without question in the WTL playoffs, in the finals of World Team League Summer. And even before that, in Gamers 8, Serral was looking terrifying. Sorry, Solar was looking terrifying, at least against Serral. So it makes sense. It makes sense here. I think a lot of people in the chat were assuming that this would be the case, that up next for Team Korea, who can take down Serral? It's Solar. Oh boy. And we'll see if Serral can get his revenge. Again, I'm sure he's been wanting to get that revenge for a long time. I'm sure Serral has been going over those ZvZs, has been working on his ZvZ specifically to bring down Solar. Now, something that's going to be interesting here is obviously we have a new patch. In the new patch, ZvZ hasn't really changed, but what does change ZvZ are the maps. The maps that are safe to go to base play, for example, short rush distance maps as well. Certain areas where you do have points of elevation and high ground, like these little things, and even how large the bases are, these little things do impact and influence ZvZ in their own ways. So this is gonna be an interesting one. Let's go as we're getting into game 1 on Oceanborn. Also, predictions I think have closed. Predictions were open for a time, and I believe they have closed. So best of luck for those of you that have placed your bets on this series. And here we go, spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn. We have a player typically representing Onside Gaming, but representing Team Korea. It is Solar. And spawning in the top left, ooh, going for a 15 hatch opener. We have the Finnish Zerg player, also usually representing Team Basilisk, but representing the world. It is Serral. Going for a 15-15. Interesting opener here from Serral, and this does make sense in a way. Typically with a 15-15 opener, it's going to be a 15 hatch into a 15 spawning pool. This should be for a delayed gas, which means this should be for two base roach opener, as we will be delaying a link speed. I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but this is typically how this opener goes. So my eyes are on Serral to see if he deviates from this opener and how he makes this his own. Meanwhile, across the map, Solar going for a standard hatch gas pool opener. Very standard start here from Solar. Again, it's a best of 5. Plenty of games are ahead of us. Plenty of opportunities to feel each other out as we load in to Oceanborn. And Oceanborn is an interesting one. Oceanborn has a pretty short rush distance by ground. Does have an area here that you can, of course, wall off, but there is no ramp coming into the natural. So because of that, it can be difficult to hold on to said natural base. Meanwhile, when it comes to the base layout or the expansion layouts, really this is the only viable third base you can go for. This low ground third is very difficult to hold on to, so because of that, when it comes to expansion patterns, that's the phrase I was looking for, you don't really have too many options available to you. As Serral is now getting into his gas mining. Again, very delayed gas. Because of this, Solar will have map control, he will have faster link speed, he will have faster bailings as well. This is why Serral should be looking to wall off and should be looking to open up two base roach, I mean. Of course, it could be something crazy like 2-base Muta or, you know, 2-base into some other tech. But yeah, we'll see how long Serral does stay on these two bases. Meanwhile, Solar's going to be scouting across the map. He's sending his first two links out to get a read on what is going on. Link's speed is on the way. Third base is being taken at a standard timing. Again, standard play here out of Solar. Meanwhile, Serral is stuck on 2 bases, and Solar will confirm the lack of third. And already, things are looking a little bit odd. Like alarm bells are flaring for Solar that Serral is going for something a little bit more peculiar. This should also lead into a faster lair. That's what we're going to be building up all this gas for, is for a faster lair once this queen does finish up. As the Lings of Solar do dip in, the queens are out of position to inject, and Solar does confirm, ooh, that Ling speed does start up for these Lings. I wonder if that's just for show. Serral does not start up the lair. There we go, he cancels. And as soon as these Lings get cleaned up, we should be going straight into that lair instead. There it is, lair at the natural. So really cute moves out of Serral to hide his tech and to pretend like he was going into Link speed to try to hide his build overall. But there's only so much you can hide, because Solar, he's confirming once again that there's no third base. So it has to be a lair on 2 bases. Like, despite the best efforts from Serral, Solar should be able to piece this together. There we go, he does check the wall. Does spot the lair as well, was close enough to see it. So he's fully aware of the 2-base play coming out. Solar back at home, he's droning. He wasn't able to cancel Link speed in time, unfortunately. So this is quote-unquote wasted gas for Solar. Link speed is not really going to be too influential in this game, at least for the time being. If Solar were able to read this ahead of time, then he probably would have cancelled Link speed just so we can have more gas to get into faster lair and to get into more roaches. As Solar goes in, he confirms that the roach warren is being researched, that roaches are on the way as well, and he confirms that there is no spire. Oh, he even gets a drone. Very nicely done. Very nicely done here by Solar. Again, it was very important for him to confirm that spire tech was not coming out from Serral, and that roaches were indeed being committed to. As a result, Solar, he knows that he has to get into his own roaches. +1 ranges on the way. Late lair from Solar, which means later roach speed. So again, Solar, he's going to be taking the role of the defender. Meanwhile, Serral, the role of the aggressor. As he's setting up for a creep highway, we have plenty of overlords in position looking to spread their creep. And there we go. It is upon us. And Serral is going for his 2-base all in. He's cutting workers at 45. Queens are paving the way here for this push. I love that Serral, he's intentionally keeping these roaches at bay, hidden from the overlord. And back at home, Solar, ooh, gets supply blocked. 3 overlords, 4 overlords on the way from Solar. He needs to amass an army here and now. And here we go, the Overseer will confirm it. Yeah, he does spot the Roach Ravager that is coming out. No third base. Solar, he needs everything here to defend. The roaches, the queens, we may even have to pull some boys. Solar, oh, he droned up a little bit. He did drone up a little bit more, and he may have to pull them here to survive. Looking at units tab, we do have pretty comparable roach armies. Queen does get picked up. Solar, he is keeping up, but bearing in mind he doesn't have roach speed, so he can't micro as well as Serral. There we go. Roach speed is about to kick in. Serral bullying his way through, pushing towards that natural base. The Biles will not quite connect. Oh, they almost take down those overlords though. Yeah, there we go. The boys, they do have to be pulled. Reinforcements are coming in from both players. The queens are also being brought from the main and the natural. And it looks like Solar, he barely doesn't have enough. Workers are going down. Reinforcements are coming in. Can Solar defend? Can he hold on? It's looking close. Oh, Biles do take down an overlord, but Solar, with these reinforcements, he will hold. As I say that, more roaches are coming out from Serral. Solar has to pull the boys once again. Yeah, Ravage is being focused down, and yeah, it was close. It was a close hold. I do think that Solar did drone up a little bit too much during this defense. The supply block was brutal as well. It was a rough moment to be supply blocked. As Serral is being forced back, Serral, he's just going to be consulting his army. Solar, he has a moment to breathe. Solar, fun fact, still has a worker lead. Like, he still has an economic lead, and he's surviving, but he just lost all of his queens. What this means, less larva. Less larva, no injects coming in from Solar, not yet. As Serral, he is not letting up the pressure. Behind this, Serral is squeezing out a couple of workers. It looks like Serral is getting ready to transition if he cannot break his opponent. Files will not be connecting, but they do create an opening here for Serral. As he is breaking on through. He's trying to break on through. Yeah, it's too much. GG gets called, and Serral will take game number 1. GG. And Serral will take a lead in this series. Again, it was a close defense there, but Solar, he was, what was he up? He was up 8 workers compared to Serral, and again, he was supply blocked in the middle of the defense, or in the beginning of the defense. Remember, he was making 4 overlords at a time. That's pretty huge. Again, if he had just been ready for his overlords to be going down, he would have been able to crank out some more roaches, had a stronger defense, maybe even thrown down the spine crawler. As Serral does pull off the 2 base all in. GG. GG. Ooh. And with that, Serral, he's slowly breaking the curse. You know, he's fighting back for the first time in a long time against Solar. But of course, that was Serral in the driver's seat. As we get into game 2, what does Solar have to offer? Can he fight back? And if so, how? How is he going to be fighting back? I'm curious, as we're going to be loading into a larger map. 2 base all-ins unlikely to work on a map as large as Solaris. Here we go, as we are loading in to game 2. Also, I loved what someone said in the chat earlier. It's like, it's the planet versus the space invaders, Korea. It does sound weird to say, like, Team Korea versus the world. It's like, well, isn't Korea part of the world? Nah, not in this team. Not in this timeline. Not at all. Here we go. So getting into this and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Solaris, we have South Korean Terran player, Zerg player, typically representing on-site gaming, but representing South Korea, it is Solar. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Finnish Zerg player representing Team Basilisk, but here representing the world, it is Serral. I also saw, I think it was Slowbro. He said the world. Dio, is that you? Is that? Shout out to all the JoJo's fans out there. That's a show that I never got into. Unfortunately. The only thing I've seen is the abridged version of, like, series 3, whatever it's called. JoJo, it's quite intense. It's also quite intimidating to get into, but yeah, maybe one day. We'll get into it. As for now, hatch gas pool opener from Solar, likewise a standard hatch gas pool as well from Serral. Bearing in mind, in game 1, Serral did go for a much more greedier, aggressive opener, going for the 15-15 into a 2 base all-in, but that is very akin to Oceanborn, and because the rush distance is far longer on Solaris, a 2 base all-in of that kind most likely will not work. So we are shifting gears, and Serral is taking a different approach. Likewise, I'm sure so will Solar. The world versus the sun. Ay. God, you're all animals. I'm catching up in the chat. Inch to the maniac, mate. You're really on that DBZ. The DBZ references, Papi. Ay. I mean, it kind of works. It lives up to bizarre. It is a bizarre adventure. I'm sure. I tried watching the first season, but it's wild. For now, their third bases are being taken. Everything is looking normal, as it should. Bailing Nest is thrown down from Serral, and Bailing Nest is thrown down from Solar as well. No one is cutting any corners. This is as standard as ZvZ can get. Third base, into Bailing Nest. Nothing too crazy. At this stage, we're really looking to see if anyone decides to Link Flood and decides to be the aggressor. What I mean is, at this junction, our players can choose to make a flood of Lings and try to deny the third base. And there it is, 16 Lings in production for Serral. Solar making drones. So Solar is going to be the defender once again, and Serral is going to be the aggressor. Our roles have been decided, and we'll see if Solar will do a better job of defending this time, as we do see the Lings flooding across now. They have been spotted by Solar. He knows he's morphing in 3 Bailings back at home, but will they be done in time? As Serral has arrived. Already going to be heading towards that third base, collapsing on top of these Lings. We have aggressive Bailings being morphed in as well here on the front lines. On the side of Solar, the Bailings are going to be waddling on forward. They will zone Serral away from now. Oh, but we waste a Bailing. Uh-oh, we don't have too many of them. We can't afford to be wasting Bailings. Speaking of, Serral will also be losing a Bailing of his own. They do get targeted down. Another here does go off here in the mineral line, but one Bailing is not enough. A couple of Lings do go in, or they try to, but Solar's able to keep up. And he does fend off Serral. And in the end, Serral backs off. Both players have pretty similar worker counts. Serral once again. Oh god, no! Ooh. Does detonate that Bailing, takes out a big chunk of Lings. 13 Lings went down. Solar supply box, 6 Overlords on the way. The supply blocks are real this series, Poppy. Ay ay ay. Serral not like this. Sorry, Solar not like this. 6 Overlords at a time. Solar breaks free from that supply block, but Serral is able to enjoy a worker lead here at 43. Both players are getting to Roaches at this point. We are done with the Lingbane portion of this game, working towards Roaches. But Serral being up in workers means that he can afford quite a bit more. And Solar is looking more and more all in. Here we go, as Serral is pushing through the center of the map, through those speed zones. Roaches are on the way from Solar. And again, as time goes on, Serral is going to be able to enjoy a larger and larger army. He's working on a lair. Meanwhile, again, Solar, he's 100% all in. He's amassing Lings, Roaches. He's hoping that Serral over drones. Uh-oh. Serral, he is droning in a time where he really shouldn't be. Serral, he just doesn't know the economic situation that Solar's working with. And here we go, he's all in. Solar's sending everything through the center of the map. And Serral, he is down 20 army supply. He has 7 Bailings on the way. Has Serral been caught with his pants down? Solar's pushing towards that third. We do have those Bailings, sure. But we have Bailings for Solar as well. As they're rolling on forward, they will crash in. Ling slipping from behind, and it looks like Solar has too much. He's getting on top of this army. The Spine Crawler does finish. But there's only so much he can really do here. Again, Serral was caught droning up his third base. And Solar was all in. Catches him off guard. GG gets called. Solar ties up the series 1-1. We have a back and forth. We have a series. GG. Solar will tie it up, and yeah, was able to turn the tables here on Serral. Initially, Serral was the aggressor, but once he backed off, Serral droned, and Solar didn't. Solar opted to just make and amass nothing but Lings and Roaches, caught Serral completely off guard, and was able to take that win. And now we're getting into game number 3 to determine who takes a lead in this series, who gathers some momentum, who's able to take that third game. Oh boy. As a reminder, this is a best of 5. Best of 5, so we still have plenty of games ahead of us. As we load in to Hard Lead. Here we go. And that is how cutthroat ZvZ can be. I mean, essentially the same thing happened to Solar in game 1, where Solar, he droned too much and died to the all-in. And last game, it was Serral's turn to drone too much and die to the all-in. That's Korean ZvZ. And here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Hardlead. We have the South Korean Zerg player, representing Onside Gaming, but also representing South Korea. It is Solar. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Finnish Zerg player representing Team Basilisk, but also representing the world. It is Serral. Surely he will win. Solar is. True, did work. Did work out for Solar in the end. Meanwhile, once again, we have a hatch first from both players as we load into Hardlead. Very similar to the previous game or previous map where we should be seeing some standard openers. There is no ramp coming into the natural, so you could argue that aggression can be a little bit more successful on this map just because you have less of a defender's advantage here after that natural base. The outside of that, we're just getting into our openers. Hatch, gas pool from Solar, hatch, gas pool from Serral. Standard, Poppy, standard. Nothing fancy yet, but we'll keep our eye on the players. We'll keep our eye on both Serral and Solar. I'm sure at the drop of a dime, they're more than willing to cut workers and just amass an army. Fun fact, that is actually how Serral's been losing to Solar. Very similar to the previous game, where Solar will kind of lure Serral into a false sense of security, pretend like we're going for a longer game, pretend like he's macroing, and then BAM! He shows up with like an extra 20 supply of army and kills Serral. It's happened a lot. Again, ZvZ is really cutthroat, and a lot of this matchup does come down to scouting, like just constant scouting and checking that your opponent is actually droning. It's mirror matchups in a nutshell, right, where both players have the same tools, and if one player is looking to get away with something, and if you are unawares, that you can just straight up die, as you will have less supply than your opponent in an all-in situation. And because Lings and Roaches can be so fast and so quick, like you can have very little time to react and respond. It is brutal. For now, though, third bases are being taken, and both players will confirm this with their Lings. They will get eyes on the third bases of the other. Likewise, Bailey nests are on the way. And just like the beginning of Solaris, as I mentioned before, we're really waiting to see which player decides to be aggressive. Who's going to take what role once the third bases come into play, if at all. We saw that last game it was Serral. Last game, Serral, he amassed 16 Lings, went across the map and tried to break the defenses of Solar, and was unsuccessful. This time we'll see if Serral tries again, or if Solar is going to be the one to make a mass amount of Lings instead. Or if neither does. Now, Ling speed kicks in, we're just going to be droning up. No one has amassed an army yet. Roach 1 is thrown down from Serral behind the mineral line, so he's going into Roaches very quickly. Meanwhile, Solar hasn't thrown down his own Roach Warren yet at all. Uh-oh. Solar is droning. Both players are, but again, Serral, he's sneaking out a higher form of tech. He is looking to skip the Lingbane portion and go straight into Roaches. Solar, his own Roach Warren, isn't too far behind. It is later than Serral's, but not by too much. As both players are going to be a lot more passive here as they take their third bases. Ling slips in, doesn't get behind the mineral line as Serral is now working on Roaches. Uh-oh. I am a little bit concerned here. 7 Roaches on the way. Additional gas is being taken from Serral and Solar as well. But I worry. This is it. Here we go. Serral, he's got Roaches on the way. He's amassing Lings behind this. He's working on a 7 Roach push. Meanwhile, Solar is droning. How the turns table here. Solar doesn't have much to work with. He's making more drones. It could just be game. This could just be it. Here we go. Serral pushes in. He's got roaches. Solar doesn't. Solar's just been amassing nothing but workers. He's going to be able to buy a little bit of time here with his banelings. But Serral's breaking through. Solar, he has to evacuate. He knows that he cannot hold on to this base. Banelings roll forward. Big connection. And Serral has broken through. He does get on top of this queen. And Serral is looking to take a lead in this series, catching a Solar completely off guard. The banelings will connect with some of these drones at least. And Serral, he's camping the production. He's broken at that natural base. It looks like Solar's going to back off though. He doesn't recognize the power of these reinforcements. And he is headed for that third. It looks like Solar, he's droning up behind this. He wants to secure damage. He wants to deny the third base. Well, actually, he just leaves. He just straight up leaves with his roaches. He gets 5 worker kills. He is content with the lead that he has gotten himself, and he's looking to just extend that lead. Saturate his third, and a massive roach army. Solar is crippled, and Serral is happy to leave him crippled on the ground, back off, and just rest up, get his stamina back, and build up an army for the second wave, for the second round. Now, how does Solar come back in this game? Well, an all-in. Solar, he is not droning. He is down 10 workers, and he's remaining down 10 workers. And the way that Solar wins is if Serral is too greedy. If he takes a 4th base, if he throws down 2 Evo chambers and, I don't know, a Hydra Den. If Serral were too greedy, then Solar could kill him. But alas, Serral has been amassing an army. Solar pushes in with his all-in. It is his only chance. It's Hail Mary play for Solar. But he pushes into a concave. A concave that will not be broken. As Serral has far too much. The queens come in with some transfuses. Biles, they will be connecting a little bit, but GG gets called, and Serral takes game number 3, taking a lead in this series. GG. And so far, every game. Really, we're just looking at the drone counts. We're like, okay, he overdroned. If one of these players just makes too many workers, that can be it in ZvZ. It wasn't just that, though. It was the fact that, of course, Solar just didn't see, he didn't scout the early Roach Warren, so he didn't know that Serral was amassing an army, and he didn't know that he was in any danger. Even as Serral was encroaching upon the base of Solar, Solar was still droning. He was still making workers, so just goes to show how in the dark Solar was, how little information he had, and in the end, Solar was caught with his pants down. And just like that, Serral is 1 game away from taking this series. It's gonna be on Solar to bring it back here on Site Delta. Here we go. No, did nobody bet on Solar? No shot. Boppy, what's going on? Serral all kill. It is possible. I mean, it may come down to Cure, right? Remember, like, Cure almost killed Serral straight up. Like that first series between Cure and Serral was so close, and that may have been the chance for Team Korea. It's definitely possible that would have been the moment for them, and in an alternate timeline, Cure wins there and we have a very different outcome. But we'll see if anyone else can step up to the likes of Serral. We'll see if this player here can. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Site Delta, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming, currently playing for Team Korea. It is Solar. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Finnish Zerg player representing Team Basilisk, but also representing the world. It is Serral. Serral 1 game away from taking down another player from Team Korea. And Solar needs to win this game here to force the ace match. And we all know he can. We all know he has it within him. But there have been a couple of mistakes here and there. You know, game 1 and game 2, we saw some pretty big supply blocks from Solar. And in game 3, we saw Solar, of course, struggle a little bit with scouting and recognizing how aggressive Serral was being. Again, a very aggressive series, a very short series so far. A lot of these games have been over quite quickly. Things escalate out of control at the drop of a dime. So again, you just have to be very on top of not just scouting, but reacting and keeping an eye on when it's safe to be economic, when it isn't. What's also been really interesting is that every game, even the game that Serral lost, every game so far, Serral has been the aggressor. Every game, Serral, I do think he's been a little bit scarred by Solar. I think he also knows that in ZvZ, it's usually easier to be the aggressor as well, and it's harder to defend and scout and react to your opponent. And maybe this is something that Serral learned after his series against Solar, or after his, not just his series, but just after his games in general, and matchup after matchup against Solar. And yeah, Serral, he's like, screw it, you know what? I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm gonna be the one in the driver's seat. I'm gonna be the one dictating the pace of this game. It's gonna be me, not you. And that's kind of the role that Serral has taken so far. So far. We'll see if that continues to be the case here in this series. As Serral's going for his third base, so is Solar. Again, very standard opener so far. When it comes to the openers, everything has been by the book outside of game 1. Game 1 was when Serral was a little bit fancy, but that was on Oceanborn, and I do think that's very map specific. Outside of Oceanborn, we've been seeing hatch gas pools from everyone. Bailey Nest is on the way. Solar is skipping his nest. Uh-oh. I'm curious here as to the plan from Solar. He's actually pulling back into gas. And he's amassing lings. Okay. Bold move. So we have Ling Bane from Serral, and Solar, he's amassing lings and he's skipping the Baneliness entirely, going straight into roaches instead. Now this is a really risky thing to do. If Solar takes a Baneling to the face, he may just die. He may just straight up die to the counterattack. So really risky maneuver here from Solar to be playing this early game without Banelings. So far, he's going to be able to take a better trade here, overwhelming the army of Serral, but the Banelings have now come out. Oh, okay. And Solar, he will respect them. He will back off. Ling slips into the main base, getting a full scout, and the Lings of Solar head towards that third. They get a full surround. Oh, but they don't quite commit to the hatchery. Behind this, roaches are on the way. We do have Serral slipping in with a couple of Banelings of his own. Oh, no! They do get in. They take down 2 workers and some larvae. They also scout the Roach Warren. Serral knows. He knows that roaches are on the way. He knows that he has a window here where the roaches haven't quite amassed yet. We can take advantage of Solar. Gets us around on one of those roaches. Good positioning out of Solar, though. Very good positioning. As it reduces the surface area, he will defend his third base. He has gotten away with these roaches. Meanwhile, Serral is not stopping with Ling production. He hasn't droned. And he is hoping that Solar pushes into him. If Solar pushes out, then Serral is going to get a massive surround and he will clean up the Roach army. That's what Serral wants. And Solar is stuck at home, still just building up that Roach count. He's scouting with Lings. He does confirm there are more Lings across the map. And more Lings on the way. Oh, and Solar, again, has to be very careful with his positioning. Does confirm the army. It's going to be a tight hold. Queens are coming out. The Banelings roll on forward, and Serral, he's looking for the surround. He will surround a lot of these roaches. Banelings, they crash on forward. Solar barely holds on. Does end up losing 6 roaches, but he still has 9 remaining. Behind this, Solar is droning. Oh my god. He's feeling safe and secure enough to drone. I would love a Baneling nest now from Solar so he can have some defensive Banelings to help against the mass lings of his opponents to support his roaches. But for now, Serral is all in. This entire time, Serral is still just making lings. 20 more lings on the way. And this is now spotted by Solar. He confirms the mass amount of lings from his opponent. And without Banelings, I'll be honest, I don't know if Solar can fight this. I don't know if he can defend. Yeah, there we go. He gives up his third. He just evacuates. Oh boy. Evacuating is nice, but can he fight this army? As here we go, Serral's going for the surround. Good kiting from Solar, pulling back with his roaches. More roach reinforcements are on the way, and it looks like Solar may just have too much. Banelings roll in. They will connect. But again, a good kiting, good positioning. The Banelings, they try to slip into the middle line, and one of them will. But one is not enough. And Solar holds. And it looks like we're going to the ace match because Serral has no plan B. There is no other way out of this. There is no transition for Serral. It's just mass Ling Bane. That's all he has. And Solar is fully saturated on 2 bases. He's far ahead in workers. As long as Solar doesn't get surrounded, then he's fine. There we go. He's going to check. He's going to confirm the lack of saturation at the 3rd base. Solar knows he still has to take a defensive position back at home. And at a certain point, Solar will have enough to push out. He's not there yet, though. He doesn't have roach speed. Actually, doesn't have a lair. There we go. The Banelings are rolling on forward. But God, that's a lot of roaches. Yeah, GG gets called. It's just too much. And Solar takes game number 4. We are going to the ace match. GG. GG, well played. A bold move by Solar to skip the Baneling nest and rush right into roaches, and Serral tried to punish him. And I mentioned before, the goal there from Serral was hoping that Solar pushed out. If Solar had committed to a roach attack, then Serral, it's hard switching back and forth. If Solar had committed to an attack, Serral would have just swallowed up his army, would have gone the surround and just taken out all those roaches, especially without those queens to support. But Solar was just defending. He was just absorbing these attacks back at home, wave after wave of Ling Bane. More than happy to, while also squeezing out a couple of drones here and there to maintain an economic lead, and Serral just was not able to break his opponent. He was all in. There was no turning back. And just like that, we go all the way to game 5. And again, this just confirms what I mentioned earlier, how even though Serral, by many, even by myself, is considered to be the best player in the world, when it comes to Team Korea and the players that they have, Cure, Hero, Dark, Solar, Maru, all of them can take maps and take maps and series off of Serral. We saw Cure go all the way to the ace match against Serral, and now we see Solar as well also going all the way to the ace match against Serral as well. Really good matches, really good series, and it all ends on Hecate. And here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hecate. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming, and representing South Korea, it is Solar. Team Korea even. And spawning in the bottom left, we have his opponent. We have the Finnish Zerg player representing Team Basilisk, and also representing the world, it is Serral. In this Korea versus the world show match, can Serral take down his second opponent? It has been a rough road. You know, it has not been easy. These Koreans have not been going down without a fight. They've been fighting tooth and nail here against Serral. Time and time again, ace matches. But how will it all end here on Hecate? Hecate, considered by many to be more of a macro-oriented map. The center is very wide open. A lot of rocks to knock down to open up the game in the late game, to open up the map in the late game. As we are going for a hatch gas pool here from Solar and from Serral as well. No fancy openers. in the ace match either. Let us go. The rush distance by ground is also relatively long on this map. It is also wide. There is kind of a goal base that you can take, but I'll be honest, I doubt we're going to be seeing this gold come into play between these two players. It's like a half gold base, 3 gold mineral patches. Just fun to point out, but again, I don't think it's going to be too influential here in this game. I'm sure the game will end before we can even think about a fourth. The 35 map dream lives on. Oh no. At most we can have 35 maps. True, true. Not like this. I would like to sleep at some point, you know? It would be nice. It would be nice. Thankfully, this is a 2-day event. Thankfully. If this was a 1-day event, mate, we would have had to have some words. Would have had to have some words with the WTL admins about how they can judge how long a best of 5 can last, okay? Aye. But here we go. Third base is being taken on time. Bailey Nest is on the way from both players as well. No one is cutting any corners, not this time. Last game, it was a risky maneuver for Solar to skip his Bailey Nest, but this time he is not doing so. Ooh. And Serral confirms it. He dips in and dips out just to check that Bailey Nest. Make sure everything is on the up and up. And for now, everything is chill. You know, it's been a tense series, and for now, no one is flinching. We do have a couple of extra lings on the way from Serral, but nothing too major here. Defensive bailings are on the way. For the most part, we are focused on droning. Again, Solo was able to squeeze out a couple of extra workers, and just like previously, Serral throws down a very fast Roach Warren behind the mineral line. Hidden Roach Warren from Serral. This has been quite trendy. Dark has been doing this, and there we go. Roach Warren is also on the way from Solar. A little bit later, a more standard Roach timing from Solar. Serral's, of course, is faster, so he'll be able to get into his Roach push a lot sooner. Assuming that's what Serral wants to go for. Solar slips into the main base for a scout. Solar trying to be cheeky, trying to go for the hidden Bailings in the main, but he's going to be punished. He does get shut down. Solar does scout the Roach Warren, I believe. Yep, there we go. He does confirm the Roach Warren has completed. Solar is aware that his opponent could be more aggressive, as Solar's making roaches and Serral is droning. But it looks like these are just merely safety roaches. So it looks like maybe Solar was a little bit afraid because he saw how early the Roach Warren was, and Solar went into roach production a little bit too soon, and that means that Serral takes a worker lead. Serral, he is up in workers. Solar catching up in workers. But we'll see if it's going to be worth it. He did invest into these roaches earlier on. He's moving out. And this looks like Solar's posturing. Yeah, he just moves out just for a moment, just to reveal to these roaches. He forces Serral to make roaches of his own, but it was a fake out, and Solar backs off, and again, he's just focusing on saturating his bases. Posturing is a big part of ZvZ. You want to try to force your opponent not to drone and to waste their resources on units. Meanwhile, you just back off, and yeah, we're just getting into 3-base play. For the first time, oh, let's go. I was going to say for the first time this series, we're getting into full 3-base saturation, and great minds think alike. All 6 gases have been taken for Solar and for Serral, and both players are going into mutas. Spires on the way from both Solar and Serral. Now, how hard are we going to commit? That is the question. Overseer is coming in from Serral. Overseer is denied from Solar. Yeah, Serral, he commits. He goes all the way into the main base. Serral trying to get a read on what's going on. Changeling is thrown down, but it is going to be hunted down by the Ling of Solar. Oh, Solar will at least scout the Spire. He's close. It's right there. And there we go. Solar, he will come across the Spire. does confirm the potential for mutas. Meanwhile, Serral will do the same. Serral comes in with 2 overseers because one of them got low, but regardless, he will come across a spire. Bit of a Spider-Man meme. And the question becomes, will anyone flinch? Will anyone commit to mutas, or will we commit to roaches instead? There it is. Serral is going Corruptor. Solar is going muta. Interesting dynamic. So, obviously, mutas are more mobile. They're more versatile. They can shoot up and they can shoot down. Meanwhile, Corruptors are tanky and they are hard counters to mutas. Serral, he's going for a more roach heavy composition, and here we go. Serral, he is up to 30. He has double the roach count of his opponent, and with these Corruptors on the way, they're going to be able to support his roaches and push back those mutas. Solar is in a lot of trouble. Solar, he is committing hard to muta production instead. These roaches, they can just ignore the mutas and just go straight for the bases, straight for the mineral lines. I'm not too fond of this muta choice here from Solar, but we'll see if he can pull it off. As Serral is just amassing more and more roaches. Corruptors have been revealed. Now, the Corruptors in low numbers honestly don't pose too much of a threat to Solar. You can maybe try to pick him off one at a time before there are too many, but we have 5 more Corruptors on the way. We are hitting critical mass. As Solar, he's just vying for map control, taking down these overlords. But this is a lot of supply invested in these mutas. He's going to try and go for the Corruptors. He gets 1. He gets 1 Corruptor for 3 mutas. And Solar, he has to commit to the fight. As he loses mutas, I'm sure he's not going to replace them, but no, he's still making more mutas. I'm not too fond of this. As Serral's committing to Corruptor production. We'll see. We'll see if Solar can overwhelm this. He just barely cannot. And here we go. The Roach Army pushes on forward. Again, Serral with a massive Roach Army forcing his way through. And what can Solar do against this? He's going for a big link counterattack. He's getting a lot of economic damage done. But what is his answer to these Roaches? The mutas are trying to deal with it, but they're being bullied back by the Corruptors. Yeah, the mutas are falling one after the other. Solar trying to muster up an army. He is getting a lot of economic damage across the map, but the roaches, they force their way into the natural base. And Serral may have just done it. He breaks into the natural, gets into the mineral line as well. The mutas will eventually clean this up. And Solar doesn't lose too much. Because of his link counterattack, Solar, he is up in workers. Oh my god. He is up in workers. He cleans up all the roaches just barely. Meanwhile, the Corruptors did turn back around. Okay, we have 10 Corruptors against 20 mutas. The mutas, they dive on the queen. And Solar is doubling down on mutas. Mutas and lings. No roaches. Like, Solar does have a more mobile army, but Serral has roaches in position back at home. And he has roaches to defend. Meanwhile, the mutas, they dive in, they find a base, and they take down every single worker here. Serral is being pulled apart. Again, I mentioned earlier, Solar, Ling, Muta is more mobile. He can avoid the fight. Serral, he wants it. He's trying to chase him down. He wants to fight head on. But even then, do we have enough Corruptors? Oh. So we do have Solar getting ready for another run by. The Queens are here to support, to add a little bit of DPS, to transfuse. And Solar's able to maintain his economic lead and look to expand and take a 5th base as well. Uh-oh. This hatchery is looking a little bit exposed. Serral not quite able to keep up. Another 4 workers go down. The Lings, they flood on in. The mutas even trying to go toe-to-toe with these Corruptors. They take down some of them at least. Yeah, before the mutas are forced back. Again, Solar, he can afford to take a couple of hits because these mutas, they do regenerate their their HP. Serral, he wants to force the fight. Trying to kite back, but there are just so many mutas. We're up to 30 mutas. My god. The muta counts has gotten out of control. Corruptors can deal with a low amount of mutas, but at this point it may just be too much. Mass muta is king. GG gets called, and Solar does it. He takes down Serral 3-2 once again. And mate, he's the Serral Slayer for a reason. Solar will fight back for Team Korea and take down Serral. GG. Solar, one of the few players that can consistently take down Serral. Impressive. Impressive that he was able to do it again. It wasn't as one-sided as it previously was. You know, Solar, in previous matchups and previous series, he has been able to take down Serral 2-0, 3-0. But alas, this time, Serral was able to fight back, make it very close. Now, this was a close game. I was certain that the mass roach army, it was like over 30 roaches for Serral. I thought that he was going to be able to break through and cripple the economy of Solar. Lo and behold, that Solar was able to barely minimize his losses and clean up the roaches before he lost too many drones. It was impressive. Very impressive. GG, well played. Congratulations to Solar. And Solar will stay on. Serral is knocked out. And now the world have to pick a new champion. Serral has fallen. We are tied up 1-1. Cure got eliminated earlier. Now Serral's been eliminated. And now who can take on Solar? As a refresher, the team of the world is comprised of Serral, Clem, MaxPax, as well as Estrella and Oliveira. Now, initially, Rainer was also a part of this team. It was Rainer instead of Estrella. But we did get some updates in the chat that Rainer, he did actually go out last night, and he was unable to be available for today's match. He was a bit of a party boy, and Rainer was a little bit hungover, but it's fine. it's totally fine. So because of that, Rainer wasn't able to compete today, and Estrella stepped in. Estrella did step in instead to take the role of Rainer. And I'm just getting confirmation we have time for one more best of 5. One more best of 5 tonight. And who's it going to be? Solar versus someone. It's on the world to decide who they send out. We're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we will have our answer on who gets sent out to represent the world. See you soon. See you soon.